My name is Mario Mihokovic. I'm one of the co-founders of a Little Green Man game studio from Zagreb, Croatia.
So, Mario, talk about the kind of the history of the Starpoint Gemini series. It's had an interesting backstory.
The franchise is over 10 years old right now. Currently, we're producing Starpoint Gemini 3. It's actually the fourth sequel in the franchise. One was the spin-off that featured some hybrid genre combinations with 4X games, strategy part, and stuff like that. The franchise actually is the story about the franchise. In our case, is the story about our entire studio. So it started with the first absolutely amateur game created in an amateur way as a completely side project to everything we worked in our lives before that, with only core team members that were also co-founders of the studio. It was started back in 2007, released in 2010. Number two, Starpoint Gemini 2, was much larger game, much more extensive, ambitious project. It was released 3 years later. It was first project that was, let's say, professionally made. We had an entire team assembled, and it was our most successful project to date. And then we continued in the same franchise because it's a huge setting, it's a huge game. We just can't get enough time to tell in the entire story we want to. So it goes on and goes on, and so now we're on the sequel number 4, and we'll see where it ends.
What did your team learn from your last game that you've applied and kind of built upon in Starpoint Gemini 3?
Well, in this game, what we learned is that we have a very, very active communication with base players, and we monitor what they're saying, how they feel about the game, what they like about the game, what they don't like, and mostly what we change right now is we try to make the game more accessible to players, to make the learning curve a little bit less steep, to allow players to get into the game easier, faster, and we also the concept of the game is changed so we can add much more immersion to the game, and the orientation towards storytelling and let's say emotional attachment to our universe. In all of the previous versions of the game iterations, we expanded the universe. That was the primary goal. More of everything, and with the last game the universe was already such an enormously huge place that it started to lose its soul. It was big, huge, but it started to lose its soul. This game is aimed to bring the soul back and actually increase on that part of emotional attachment with the characters, with the story, with the feeling of our universe setting and everything.
Speaking of emotional attachments, talk about your ship, because your ship is an extension of the player himself, right?
Yeah, definitely. In this concept, it's emphasized even much more than before. Also, right now, so you're gonna have a modular ship. In our case, modular ship means extremely modular ship. So that means that basically you can create other ships from one base blueprint, so to speak. So every single part of the ship that you can replace, change, or modify in any way will have a completely different set of statistics, how it works, what it's aimed for, and you can combine without restrictions any part with any other part. So you can, for example, change the entire fuselage, wings, weapon numbers, weapon types, damage types, what's the purpose of the ship, what are the best sides of the ship, what the ship should be used for, the cockpit size of the ship. You can change virtually anything on the ship, and player will craft it throughout the game as he desires. He also has his own extension, so to speak, artificial intelligence. This time it's his companion, so to speak. She is actually uploaded to the ship, and player talks to him like he would talk to a commanding ship in Star Trek, something similar when he's in a ship, but this is not just a random generated answering machine for a ship. It's AI with embedded personality. Granted, that personality is not very pleasant one sometimes, but yeah, it was supposed to be funny, so programmers took it a bit too far, so players a lot of times has to have quarrels fights with its own AI. But the other thing is you can also upload that AI to a drone ship and set it to two-way missions. So that companion also serves as an extension for accomplishing other missions outside the ships and outside the space for players, and that's also something that did not exist before. And it serves to achieve some other goals that players cannot achieve themselves.
And continuing on to spaceships, you also have a variety of sizes from single pilot ships you can fly to battle cruisers. Talk about that.
Yeah, well, that's the most, let's say, different part what we did from the previous game. So this game will have all the features, all the required things to be a Starpoint Gemini game. So the factions, the ships, the sizes, the different classes, the types of relations between aliens, people, and everything that existed before, it exists here. However, some things do exist in a bit different capacity. So, for example, in this game, players will not. It's a game set to follow the individual perspective of a single, let's say, small man in a hugely different and varied universe. This time, player will not control planets, territories, be the boss of everything, fight against everything, try to save the universe. He is basically almost a semi-criminal. That's a man of great heart and always willing to help, but basically he's just a small guy in a big universe trying to live an ordinary life that never functions like that in the end, but he's gonna try. Whenever huge events lure him to do something, let's say of epic importance, he's gonna try to run away from that. He doesn't want to be entangled in that, but he's not gonna be allowed to do. Regarding ships, battle cruisers, everything that existed before is also here. However, in this game, players will not directly command the largest class of ships as playing it as their own personal ship, because first of all, it would be, as the character is different and storyline is different, it would be rather hard for a player to, let's say, in his new capacity, he is a petty criminal. It's hardly you could amass like billions of credits and buy yourself a carrier right now. It will be quite hard to explain. You will fight against carriers, you will drive in different ships, you will be forced to change your own ship, including the purpose and the size of that ship, but eventually you will not end up on a carrier on its own. You will have different sizes, how you can, depending what you want from a ship. If you are, for example, want to build yourself a hauler or more large ship for trading, for crafting, for economical stuff, and you want to avoid too much fight, of course you can build much bigger ship. But if you want to create a nimble fighter, very battle capable, then you just need to build your ship in a completely different direction, and it's probably going to be a bit smaller, but you're going to use these advantages in battle.